If you are a pre-med advisor, do yourself a favor and just shut this video off right now, okay? And I'm sorry to say it, but I am a certified pre-med advisor hater, okay? And I have reason to say that, right? I have never had a pre-med advisor that's done me any justice. And maybe that's just an isolated event. Maybe that's just me. But from talking with all my other colleagues who have had pre-med advisors in the past, it seems like a lot of us have the same exact interaction or similar interactions with pre-med advisors. Pre-med advisors have a tendency to look at you, and by you, I mean your application, right? They hear your experiences, they hear your wishes, and they have a way of just shutting you down. And I literally despise that fact. In my mind, right, a pre-med advisor is supposed to meet you where you are, right? You present to them, you know, yourself, really, your grades, who you are, a little bit about yourself, you know, what your aspirations, what your goals are, where you are currently. And their job is to work with you where you are at and then, you know, try to, you know, help you along the way and guide you to the direction that you want to be. Why do I feel like a lot of pre-med advisors aren't doing these things, right? Why do I feel like a lot of pre-med advisors, and I hear a lot of other pre-med advisors, they tend to shut dreams down more or make them seem more unrealistic as opposed to more realistic, and that is what I just can't stand. You never hear of a physician go in and say, you know what, I just want to thank, you know, my pre-med advisor for believing in me and telling me that, that they had faith in me the entire time, I should never give up. No, not really. Most of the time, you're thanking, you know, obviously your parents, you know, if you believe in God or whatnot, you thank God depending on your religion, blah, blah, blah. But you're thanking people who gave you this advice, and a lot of times these people who give you the advice aren't your pre-med advisors, or at least you're not your designated one. Sometimes you'll thank a doctor, sometimes you'll thank a teacher or a professor, sometimes you'll even thank a friend or a family member, simple as that, right? Those are who you're thanking, not your pre-med advisor. Too many times I'm hearing students that are not applying to medical school or are giving up on medical school, they're not even making it to the application stage because they're telling me that their pre-med advisor said that their grades weren't good enough. What does that even mean? Stop taking advice from people who aren't doing what you want to do or who have never done what you aspire to do, right? Stop taking advice from that. A pre-med advisor that I find suitable is someone who's actually done what I wanted to do. So if I want to be a cardiologist, for instance, I want to have an advisor or a mentor that is a cardiologist. If I want to be an OBGYN, I want one that's an OBGYN, etc., right? Dentist, I want a dentist, right? So, and I get it, right? At the end of the day, these people that we want to aspire to be, they may not always have enough time, the resources, even the most up-to-date knowledge to kind of guide us. And I guess that can be where your pre-med advisor, you know, comes into play, right? But at the same time, it's like, don't let these people tell you you can't apply. You know, these people haven't done what you've done. They're not the ones to tell you. Now, the pre-med advisor, what they can do is they can tell you the structure, the format, the layout of the plan for what you want to do and what you need to accomplish in order to get your goals, right? They can bring those down because, you know, pre-med advisors, we would hope, have the most up-to-date information regarding whatever field you're going into. We would hope that. But as far as how to best prepare for it, as to what to expect in the challenges, to say whether or not what you can do is even possible, they've never done it before. How can they really guide you? I don't agree. I feel like if you're in college right now, or you're not in college, it doesn't matter, and you want to get a pre-med advisor, that's fine, perfectly fine. But don't let that pre-med advisor be the determining factor on whether or not you apply into medical school. They can't. They're not qualified to do that. They're not qualified to tell you what you're not qualified to do, right? I would say, get a pre-med advisor, sure, one that can tell you the layouts of the plan, the most up-to-dated, but actually seek out people that have done what you have wanted to do, right? Figure out who in my area, or who, social media is a big thing nowadays. I mean, you guys are watching me on YouTube right now. Figure out who you can contact and say, hey, this is where I'm at currently. Do you think I have a shot at medical school? And if not, what do you think I can do? And 9 times out of 10, someone in a position like me can look at your application and say, you know what? I think I actually know someone who had similar stats as you. and I got accepted to medical school. I know someone who had worse stats than you, got accepted to medical school. Oh, you're an international student and you want to get to medical school? That's perfectly fine. I know an international student as well who applied to medical school and actually got accepted. Let me direct you to that person, right? Going into medical school myself, completing it all 4 years here in the US, did undergrad in the US too, and then doing residency in the US as well, I've met hundreds to thousands of different people, different students from different areas, right? And we talk amongst ourselves. So I get a different background. I might not always know the specific grades, but when I was a pre-med student too, I knew my friends' grades because we talked about it all the time. So I can tell you if my friend with X amount of grades or get X amount of scores got accepted, why can't you do the same thing? There's just so many different alternative routes that maybe your pre-med advisor may or may not be privy to, right? And sometimes pre-med advisors strictly look at stats. And they look at stats based off Google searches that you and I could do ourselves, and they speak to it as if it's as if it's obsolete, and it's really not, right? So, speaking to people who have actually gone through the process, people who have actually had similar situations as you, people who know of those with similar situations, that can breed you more success than just simply listen to your pre-med advisor. I know someone who told me their scores and everything, you know. At this point, I'm already accepted to medical school, and they're saying, yeah, you know, I want to get into medical school. And I'm like, okay, cool, not a problem, you know. I'm actually going to talk to this medical school person right now. I'm really close with them on the admissions committee, and maybe we'll see if they can have a spot for you. I told them that they said, what's the person's grades? Do you know it, et cetera? I was like, yeah, this is it right here. They're like, okay, let me look them in this. I'll, you know, review the application, and, you know, we'll see if we can invite them for an interview. I get a call like, hey, remember that person you told me about? I'm like, yeah, I remember that person. Yeah, I don't see her in the system. Are you sure she applied? I was like, yeah, she applied to USMD school, this school right here. I said, yeah, she definitely applied. And so he's like, I couldn't find it. So I called the person, I'm like, hey, did you apply to the school? Did you apply? Because I called the school and they can't seem to find your records anywhere, right? Oh no, so I'm actually gonna apply next year. I was like, next year? Why didn't you apply this year? Oh, I was going to, but you know, my pre-med advisor thought I wouldn't be very competitive and said it would be a waste of money and time. So it'd be better if I just do some volunteer work and apply the following year. I was so livid, man. So livid. Like, she could have got accepted into medical school had she applied that year. But because she listened to a pre-med advisor that had never gone to med school, never gone through the application process, we don't even know what kind of degrees they even hold, tell her that she wasn't good enough to get into medical school and that she should wait an additional year, she ended up not getting accepted that same year. Now, she did get accepted the following year, but the crazy thing about it is she got accepted the following year without changing a single thing in the application. She did not take an additional course. She did not take an additional MCAT. She did not even change the letters of recommendation. She did nothing different. She just continued to work. And then when the next cycle came in, she applied right away in the beginning. She got the interview very early. She got accepted very early. She graduated from that medical school literally 4 years later and is now enjoying residency right now. It's ridiculous. And obviously she's in a good place, so you can't complain. But it's the thought that counts, you know. It's the fact that she could have done all this a year sooner had she not had that same pre-med advisor. So the point I'm trying to make is, obviously, you know, let's be real, I don't hate pre-med advisors, but please take caution when listening to these advisors because at the end of the day, they have not yet accomplished what it is you're trying to accomplish. So they are not always the best one to go to when it comes to achieving your dreams. I suggest you find someone that's already done the job, that did exactly what you've done. I suggest that you find someone that has done exactly what it is that you want to do, or at least close enough. Ask them for advice and ask them how they think you should move best in order to achieve your goals.